The following is a legal advertisement. This does not constitute individual legal advice and should not be construed as such. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only.
Hi, I'm Gwendolyn Stirk, and I'm here today with Margot McDermott, and we're in conversation today about the role of the legislative representatives being a trustee versus a delegate. So welcome, Margot, to our discussion about this. Kind of a strange topic.
Well, it's a topic that I've had to think a lot about since I was elected as a state representative 3 years ago. Because we in the Illinois General Assembly have to deal with a lot of difficult issues. Issues that when I was on the Will County Board, I didn't necessarily have to deal with. The state legislature is involved in what is a crime, what are the sentences, divorce, child support, maintenance, so family support, how to fund transportation, all sorts of really complex, very difficult issues in the 21st century. And so I'm often called upon, I often have to sit and kind of examine my conscience. What am I going to do? What is my role as the state representative for the 37th District with respect to this issue that is now before us?
Right. So if you were in a delegate, to be a true delegate would be an impossibility because you can't know what the majority of your constituents would say about a specific issue about transportation. Fair?
That's fair. When I did some polling here in the district, I found out that the most important issues here in our district are property taxes, education, and surprising to me is transportation. But when I probed a little bit into transportation, I had a town hall on this topic, it turned out that what people are really concerned about are the roads in our area, particularly I-80 and I-355, and the traffic that are on those roads because of the intermodal transportation that is just west of us here in this district. So people are concerned about safety on our roads and congestion on our roads. So transportation is an important issue.
You know what I just heard from the examples that you gave is they're concerned about what affects me, myself, and I. It's kind of interesting. I mean, you want to go beyond that, and you know that your role is beyond that, but when you identified what people were really asking about, and I think that's human nature. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but don't you agree that, you know, the things that are closest to you are the things that affect you personally?
That's exactly right. And so when I'm looking at all the issues that we have to deal with in the Illinois General Assembly, I always try to take myself back to what's on the minds of the people in my district. How can I be an effective voice for them in Springfield and speak for what's top of mind? Because what's of concern to the people here that live in the 37th District is a little bit different than what concerns people who live in the city of Chicago or who live in Peoria or who live in a tiny town in southern Illinois.
Well, that becomes my next question, because really the people in our district then are really treating you as a trustee to believe to some extent on these issues that they may not have a direct personal opinion about, to vote in a correct manner that's going to be good for them and good for our state as a whole to some extent.
I think when you're a state representative, you do, in some respects, represent the whole state. So I have to walk that line between what's the best thing for the people here in my hometown versus what's good for the people of the entire state. And I do have to put the people here in my hometown first, Sure. But I can't just ignore the needs and requirements of the rest of the state.
And so that really becomes more of a trustee role, is that the people here are trusting that you're going to do what's right for them. Is there a general philosophy that you believe you've evolved to adopt in dealing with how you make those decisions? Obviously, you've said first and foremost you look and you determine how your opinion would be of what the people within this district would say. So to that extent, you're looking at the delegate role. But then how do you go to that next step if you're not clear that there would be a directive from these delegates?
Well, if there's an issue that is of concern to certain parts of, say, certain profession, lawyers, optometrists, teachers, acupuncturists, physical therapists. I tend to get a fair amount of calls or emails about that topic. The local professional associations here in the state of Illinois have a pretty good ability to get their members to contact their local reps, so I'm not always flying blind.
Sure.
And I do appreciate that, of people reaching out to me. It's very important that you let me know how you feel about a topic that's of interest, that you know something about. It might not, what did I know about acupuncture before I had to vote on their bill this year?
Sure, but sometimes you're put in that position that you have to.
That's right, I had to educate myself.
Right. And so I think that that's an interesting issue, is the difference between being delegate and a trustee, because then also, and perhaps you can give us some instruction on how many bills are complex, meaning obviously there's some issue by issue bills, but then I'm assuming there's other bills that might contain elements of a lot of different areas.
Yes, we've had some bills, some criminal justice reform bills, the budget, school funding reform. Those are some pretty complex issues that we have actually addressed. There's some other issues, for example, pension reform, that we have not addressed,
Sure,
that are extremely complex, that need to be addressed. So it's important to take some time with some of these bills and not just vote the way your party or your leader of your caucus, which then, the caucuses are divided by party. You can't just go only by what they're telling you, or at least I don't go only by what they're telling me.
Right, so you're going beyond that and you're looking at it on an issue by issue basis.
Yes, I want to do something that I believe to be correct on a substantive basis. I'm not just voting because my caucus leader told me to vote that way. That's not right.
And in order to hear the people's voice, what do you recommend that people do? So let's say that there's a bill, for example, maybe not a whole lot of people would find it to be, specific to deal with a particular bill on engineering standards or emissions, if there's going to be a new standard for environmental protection. But there are some people in our community that have a very specific idea of what's appropriate and a reason why. How should they reach out to you, and how should they get involved in the process?
Well, they can call my office, or they can go onto my website and fill out, it's right on the front page of my website, repmcdermott.com, and they can go right on there and hit the contact button and send me an email. I get emails every day with people giving me opinions about different bills that are of interest to them, or different ideas they'd like to see made into a bill, and their opinions on any topic. I have town halls periodically. Never hesitate. Come in. People just walk in to my office and tell my chief of staff what's on their mind.
Now, let's say that you got a bunch of people together and there was a topic that you were passionate about, and you were able to get together 100, 200, 300 signatures in our district and brought it over to you. Would that have an impact on your decision?
Absolutely, it would.
And I think that's significant for people to know. Again, getting to the grassroots of the people's participation. A different way, correct?
Yes, I'm always wanting to be responsive to what's important to people here in District 37. That's my goal. I am your representative, so I want to make sure to be your spokesman in Springfield and reflect what's the values or the opinions of the people here.
Absolutely. So I think that the lesson in all of this is, although life is very busy, life is very complex, I think the older we get, the faster it goes. But there's still a voice that we all have. And sometimes we feel insignificant within that process. But Margot, thanks for sharing with us today an ability to get involved, because what you have to say, you can't know everything. You came from your certain life experiences. I don't know what you know. You don't know everything that, I know, and you don't know everything that your constituents know, but we can all work together, listen to those important issues, so that then you're in a position to make the best decision for the people within the district as well as in the state of Illinois. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. The worst possible thing for me is voter apathy, citizen apathy, and then I'm flying blind. So I really want people to tell me how they feel about certain topics.
Yep, and we all can make a difference.
The proceeding was a legal advertisement from Gwendolyn J. Sturck and the Family Law Group.